Most people would agree that the sensation of your mouth being set on fire is a sign to stop eating. Yet, across the globe, billions of people voluntarily subject themselves to the burning sting of the chili pepper every single day. To understand why, we have to travel back about 6,000 years to the tropical regions of Mexico and Central America. We don't have a name for the first person to bite into a wild capsicum annuum. We don't have a cave painting of their regret, but we do have archaeological evidence from sites like Coscatlan Cave in the Tehuacan Valley. Researchers found fossilized chili pepper seeds embedded in ancient hearths and grinding stones. The humans living there weren't just snacking on them, they were domesticating them. This is the oldest evidence of chili consumption in the Western Hemisphere. Imagine that first person. They are likely hungry. They are foraging for anything that isn't poisonous. They spot a bright red, shiny fruit hanging from a shrub. It looks small, manageable, and vibrant. It doesn't look like the bitter roots or the tough, fibrous plants they usually harvest. It looks like a treat. They take a bite. Within seconds, their mouth is overwhelmed. Capsaicin, the chemical compound responsible for the heat, binds to the pain receptors in their tongue. These are the same receptors that detect physical heat, like a hot coal or a boiling liquid. Their brain receives a frantic SOS signal. Your mouth is being burned. Your throat is in danger. Spit it out. So, why didn't they? Why is this one of the few plants humans actively farm despite it being a biological defense mechanism against being eaten? The answer lies in the strange biology of mammals versus birds. In the wild, plants evolve to survive. They want their seeds spread. Birds are the perfect delivery system for chili seeds. Birds lack the receptors to detect capsaicin. They eat the pepper, fly a few miles, and drop the seeds in a new location, complete with a natural fertilizer package. For mammals, it should have been a deterrent, but humans are not most mammals. The first reason they tried again was likely utility. If you are living in a pre-refrigeration world, your food is often bland, rotten, or dangerously bacteria-ridden. Chilies are naturally antimicrobial. They kill off bacteria that cause food spoilage. Early adopters likely realized that adding a bit of this burning fruit meant their meat didn't spoil as quickly in the sweltering heat. It was a survival technology masquerading as a spice. But that doesn't explain why we fell in love with the pain. Once the initial shock wore off, our prehistoric ancestors likely experienced a chemical reward. When we feel physical pain, our bodies release endorphins and dopamine. It's the brain's way of saying, it's okay, we're going to get through this. After that first terrifying bite, the person didn't just feel the heat. They felt a sudden, rush-induced high. It was a thrill. They had discovered the world's first natural, food-based adrenaline rush. It was benign masochism. We like the feeling of danger, provided we know we aren't actually in danger. It's the same psychological mechanism that makes us enjoy roller coasters or horror movies. By the time Christopher Columbus arrived in the Caribbean in 1492, the chili had already conquered the Americas. Columbus was actually looking for black pepper, the expensive spice from India. When he tasted the local chilies, he was so convinced they were related to the spicy black peppercorns of Asia that he brought them back to Spain and mistakenly called them chili peppers. The name stuck. The plant exploded across the globe with terrifying speed. In less than 50 years, Portuguese traders had brought the plant to India, Southeast Asia, and eventually China. It was a nutritional and medicinal miracle for the 16th century. It was cheap to grow, easy to dry for storage, and potent enough to mask the taste of almost anything. Within a century, the chili was integrated into cuisines that define our modern palate. Think of Szechuan peppercorns, Indian curry, or Mexican mole. None of these exist without that first, impulsive, and slightly painful decision made in a cave 6 millennia ago. We are the only animals on Earth that deliberately seek out pain in our food. We have created a global culture built around the Scoville scale, a 1912 invention by Wilbur Scoville that measures the pungency of these fruits. We don't just eat them, we compete to see who can eat the hottest ones. We breed superhots, like the Carolina Reaper, which is hundreds of times more potent than a jalapeno, purely to test the limits of human endurance. We took a chemical defense system intended to ward off herbivores and turned it into the centerpiece of our culinary identity. But think about the implication of that. We spent thousands of years mastering a plant that was explicitly trying to tell us to leave it alone. We turned a biological warning sign into a badge of honor. Perhaps the story of the first person to eat a chili pepper isn't a story about a mistake or a survival strategy. Maybe it's a story about the fundamental nature of the human spirit. We are the species that looks at a wall and wants to climb it. We look at a dangerous, burning, aggressive fruit and think, I wonder what happens if I have one more. Maybe we aren't eating the heat because we need it. Maybe we are eating the heat because we are the only creatures on the planet who find comfort in the fire. So the next time you feel that sting on your tongue, and your forehead breaks into a sweat, remember that you are participating in a tradition that spans thousands of years. You are chasing that same high that some unnamed explorer felt in a dark, dusty cave. The question isn't why we keep eating them. The question is, what other things in this world are we avoiding just because they're uncomfortable, when we could be turning them into something we can't live without?